computer as well as getting a transcript for you. And I will share my screen. Do you have anything you want me to focus on?
No, no. I'm
Okay.
completely empty.
Okay. And have you had any human design readings?
Yes, 4 years ago. Only
Okay.
mental work.
Right. Exactly. So, okay, I'm going to share my screen and let me get it situated so it's big enough. And let me just look at one thing. And I will be ready. 1, 2, and 2, 25. Okay, I will share my screen.
Yes.
So this is your chart. Let me make it a little bit bigger. And this is the mandala that I use. So I usually like to start by pointing out why it is that I use more than one design. So when you were born, your sun was in the 10th hexagram. But before you were born, 3 months before you were born, it was in the 18th. And then 3 months after you were born, it had gone all the way around to the 25. So if you look at that, the sun moved halfway around the zodiac wheel. The earth moved halfway around the other side of it. So by the time you were 3 months old, every cosmic energy, every transiting planet had been imprinted into your energetic aura. So when I was given, I just worked with the human design, and then Ra gave me what he called the dream design. It's a lunar calculation rather than a solar calculation. And he said that's what happens when we dream. And it's what happens, a mammal, we go into a mammalian matrix. So, having had homegrown kittens, I knew that animals not only dream, but they also sleep deeply. And so there were missing calculations. And as an astrologer, I thought, why not do it with the minute instead of the degree? And when I did that, it showed me mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical worlds over the 6 month period that a baby is developing. And so I looked at it and I went, this explains my kids, this explains my clients. And so in you, you would have been classified by human design as a generator. And you're a very strong generator. You know what you know about yourself. And you probably knew that from the time you were a kid and didn't want people telling you to do things that weren't right for you. But in the mental world, nobody really cares about what your spirit is telling you. So when we look at the other charts, we can see, number one, that for the most part, your splenic center and your solar plexus are open, except postnatally in the spiritual and the mental world. And I'm going to look at that and explain to you. But what I'm looking at in these 8 designs, and you're extremely sensitive, Elena. You pick up energy from other people. You probably have been challenged in your life to know what is yours versus what is something you're picking up from someone else. You function as a channel. You're psychic. Are you aware of that?
Yes, yes. From child, I know this.
And have you worked with it and do you have it under control?
Yes, yes.
Good.
My mother controlled me, and second time, now I know how work with this.
Excellent. So when we combine all of your charts, we see that you are a very strong manifesting generator. And thank you. You have a split, which is unusual. Most people are manifesting generators, 99% of the population in composite. This is the top chart on the left is your natal integrated vehicle. That's what you looked like when you were born in composite. The second one is the postnatal. Now, what's interesting, and I'll make this a little bit bigger. What's interesting in your integrated chart is that the self center does not have a direct channel to the throat, nor does the solar plexus. But if we look at the interior design, you are really powerful within yourself. And it's almost as though you wait until the timing is right, and then you know to take action. So the tricky thing for you is trusting what you know and trusting your intuition and your sense for whether the people you're dealing with are, I don't want to exactly say truthful because it's not conscious. But when somebody has the channel from the root to the splenic center and then gets intuition to the self, and you have all of these channels to the sacral, when you're in somebody's presence and they're talking to you, you intuitively know if what they're saying aligns with their spirit. If it does, you have no issue. But if it doesn't, then you're faced with a dilemma. Do you speak or do you not speak? Because you know the truth of whether that person is internally aligned or if they're saying something that is not right for them. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, yes, exactly,
Um,
exactly.
I know this well because I have the 5818 and the 4816, and that's the only thing I have in my human design chart. Ultimately, I get the sacral center and I'm a very strong single definition manifesting generator. But my talent as a clinician is hearing whether or not what the person sitting with me tells me resonates with their spirit. And so I've been very able in my clinical practice to say, wait a minute, maybe think this way or turn it this way, and it will resonate more with you. You have that same talent, but you also have the talent to serve as a role model for them, to take on a role that is as a help agent. The tricky part for you is that you have to wait until what you know psychically and what you know intuitively, which are two different things. And not everybody is going to tell you that they're different. So the intuitive knowing is something you pick up from the energy of the people because you're an energy sensitive. But what you know channeling wise is coming from the divine, and it's sort of guiding you what to hear and what not to hear that the person is saying or feeling. Does that make sense to you? Because I don't have exact words.
Yes, yes, it's true because I was met only from that because I knew the truth, but I didn't have the word for explain this.
But you could feel it.
I feel, yes, I
Yes.
feel, I know, but I don't know how to speak these things.
Well, you know how to speak the things when you wait for the right moment to hook
Mhm,
up.
mhm,
So you have a lot of ways it can hook up. So let me show you those. And
mhm.
let's look at them in the separate charts because that's going to tell us how it comes together for you.
Thank you.
First thing, when you pick up that somebody is emotionally reactive, notice that you always have the sixth hexagram, every chart. And that sixth hexagram is Uranus in Virgo. And then,
Or Pluto,
and Pluto.
Pluto. Mm.
Uh-huh. It goes from Uranus in your prenatal to Pluto in your natal and all of the postnatal. Um, Pluto is a planet that rules the eighth house of psychic ability, regeneration, um, sexuality, really connection more than sexual, the way we think of physical sexual. But when it's in the eighth house, it's more of a connection between people psychically. And your north and south node, the 3 and the 50, 42, 32, 42, 32. So 42 is the sacral center pointing to the root, and the 42 happens to be, and I put a sheet with the matrices in here. So when you look at the four worlds, notice that the physical world and the emotional world have the solar plexus. The spiritual world and the emotional angelic world do not have the solar plexus. So emotional reactions are purely in the mental, physical world. They're not spiritual unless they're transformed. So in your chart, you always keep the 42. That's your node. And the 32 is in the splenic center, and it is goals. So the 32 doesn't connect, the 42 doesn't connect. That means that you're waiting. You do a lot of waiting, Elena,
No,
because you say you don't have the words. That's true. But you do have the words when you connect. So if somebody in your aura is emotionally activated, you will spiritually know what to say to them. You will know. Then you need to wait for the moment when you can speak. So part of your frustration is that you have to wait until it's so overwhelming for you that you can't keep quiet anymore. And why do I say it that way? I say it that way because I'm looking at charts where you speak as a channel, but because of your sensitivity and psychic ability on the other world level, not just spiritual, you have the integrity to wait until the planets come together and say to you, okay, now's the time. So you have to be patient because when you speak and you time it exactly right, it's so powerful. You can change lives with that. And I would think that you have. Do you work?
yes,
What do you
yes.
do?
I am pharmacist, but now I would like to change completely all the things because I did healthy holistic practitioner, homeopathy, alternative therapy, but I'm overwhelmed by this because I pick a lot of energies, and now it's the time to completely change my
What you're doing?
direction. Mhm.
Yes. Um, what's really important in your mental world design is that you have the channel 15.5, you have the 14, and you have the 46.29. Those three channels are very much related to the path of return, to building your consciousness and releasing the dilemma between the mental world and the emotional world, and the emotional reactive world, I should say.
Yes,
So the there's no question that as a holistic practitioner, you're a healer. And I would bet as a pharmacist, if somebody came in with a prescription and you looked at them and knew it wasn't the right prescription for them, it would pull you apart because it wasn't in your power to speak, no, this isn't good for you. Am I correct?
yes, yes.
Um, part of, let me see where that is. The 59 is Jupiter, right here. Whoops. I have cat hair in my mouse. Let's see, the 49, 20, the 2946, the Earth, Jupiter. Oh, that's interesting. Jupiter is the 59 and Jupiter is the 29 and the 46 is your Earth. And Uranus. Um, I think part of your life mission is helping people know how to manage their emotions and how to transform their emotional energy and reactions that are keeping them in limiting beliefs. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So part of what I see here as what is the 4037 Jupiter and the 37 is Venus. Yeah, the the energies in the charts are telling me that you're very tuned in. You pick up the energy in your body. That goes without saying. So when you pick up emotional energy in your body, it's most likely not you.
Now I know.
And
But
when
I
it's
didn't.
not you, the question you need to ask is, I'm looking at the 1762, which is Saturn and the moon. Oh, okay. So if 1762 is the 62 is your moon and the 17 is Saturn and it stays there. Now moves to the 21. Ah. I think that one of your talents, looking at your chart, is that you pick up the emotional energy from somebody, you identify that it belongs to them, and you know that their limiting beliefs are keeping them stuck in emotional junk. I don't have another word for it. It's noise. You feel it as noise. It's it's almost as though how I would think you experience it is it's like static in their emotional center and it doesn't move. It's activated, but it's stuck. And when it's stuck, you know it's their limiting beliefs because it's Saturn. And you know that there's something under the surface that they're not bringing to the surface, and you're feeling it. You don't always have the words for it, but you could describe it energetically. Yes?
Yes, yes. Now I know, but in the past, I meant that this is my energy, and I was all the time overwhelmed with this. With
Well, so it's good that you know now that it's not yours. And you can use your chart to understand what to do with it. So let me explain. Well, let's look at your astrology and then I'll go back and I'll explain how the tree of life integrates and can give us some clues as to what you should do with it.
yes, this I need how to work with this.
I can help you with that. Um, this is your astrology chart. What's so interesting in it is it's a little bit unusual to see a chart like this. You have three planets in Virgo. You have no planets in the eighth, ninth, and 10th house. So, given your psychic ability, I would have expected something in the eighth house. But the fact that you don't have anything in the eighth house tells me either we don't have your exact birth time or it's so open for you that the second house is opposite the eighth house. And what's in your second house? Venus and Neptune in Scorpio. Venus is a planet ruled by Libra that wants to make everything nice, aesthetic, balanced, helpful. But the intensity with which you feel like you need to help and make things good is conjunct Neptune. And Neptune is openness. It's a water sign, it's mutable, and it's your psychic ability. And it gives you, or has the capacity to give you, a lot of self-esteem. If you have not recognized and honored how powerful and brilliant you are, Elena, then now's the time to start recognizing yourself. Um, you're very responsible. People don't always know how much pressure you put on yourself to do things exactly right. Very specific, very detail oriented. And you do not like to settle for anything except the best. Uh, the Venus Neptune, interestingly enough, is in an inconjunct to your North Node, 25 degrees of Aries, which, if we go back, and you can look here when you don't know, and the North Node is in the third hexagram. So that is a spiritual hexagram, and it's in the root, and it's activating the sacral center. So you have a gut feeling for what you need to do and how you need to do it. Uranus, I mean, Aquarius in Mars in the fifth house, you're very creative. You think outside the box. Nobody can tell you.
Yes.
Nobody can tell you what you know because when you know it, it may not be what other people think, but you know you're right. Um, Chiron in the sixth in Pisces ruler is Neptune. Ruler is Pluto. Ruler is Mercury. So when we look at the planets related to thinking, you're very detail oriented. When we look at the planets related to your creativity, your sense of yourself, your sense of how to relate to other people, you are wanting to be fair, to be honest, to be balanced, to be supportive and empowering. Did I get it?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I'm reading the relationship between the planets and their rulerships, and how they're now you can see in the center of your chart all of these lines with these shapes. Do you know astrology by any chance?
A little bit.
So you know what these lines mean?
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay, so you can see that in your chart, even though three houses are open, it doesn't mean you don't have anything going on there because the aspects are hitting the cusps of the chart and the complexity of the interactions. You don't need to know astrology to look at the central aspects and say, wow, everything relates to everything else. So you're processing a lot of stuff internally. Now, what I did was I looked at your progressions. This is where you are now with the transit and what's happening in your timing of things. So let me look. Right now, this is very interesting. Jupiter in the ninth house is 11 degrees of Gemini, midpoint between your progressed Saturn North Node in the ninth house. What does it say? You're working on what is important to you, what you value, and how you want to proceed because you don't want to expand and communicate unless you're doing it in a very responsible scientific way. That's your values. And Uranus conjunct Chiron in the eighth house is activating your healing potential and grounding it. So I'm looking at the opposition. Have you considered writing about your experiences, Elena?
I write for me all the time. I have with me all the time some book for writing, but only for me.
I would suggest right now that you have an aspect that's exceptionally good for writing or small travel. But with all of this Scorpio activating your second house, I see it as an opportunity for you to be recognized for your abilities, and you're not visible enough.
I know.
So I think writing, maybe you could go through some of your writings and pull them out if you think that other people would find them interesting. Or
I
write,
tried. Mm.
um, um, I keep seeing that you should be putting your work out in front of the public here. Now, you're not going to be able to do it mainstream. People won't understand what you're talking about unless they're spiritual. Where do you live?
Bratislava, Slovakia.
Is there a market for your psychic abilities?
Maybe, maybe it's difficult right now in our country.
Um, I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you that the transiting ascendant is going through your second house. That's not, it's fast, it's not that critical. But you have Jupiter, Pluto, Uranus, your progressed moon, Neptune, ascendant, hitting your second house. The second house is self-esteem, resources. If you promote yourself a little bit, you could be really successful and recognized. But I also see the solar arc ascendant in the third house, along with the solar arc progressed moon conjunct your south node. It's telling me with 0 degrees Sag right on your third house cusp that if you do some writing about what you do, the timing is perfect to be recognized. So if you're thinking that you want to create a new practice, if you go visible now, you would be very successful.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm seeing. Look at the planets in the transit here hitting the sixth house. Now, it's all in Pisces, which means it's hard to grab onto for you, but it's reinforcing your psychic, spiritual agenda as a healer. What you do with it is then up to you. So I want to encourage you, Elena, to be more accepting of your abilities. You tend to judge them a little bit, and you tend to, um, the Virgo in you is a hard taskmaster for yourself. You're always thinking you could do it better, you could do it more, you could do it. You don't need to. All you need to do is sit with someone and tune into them. And then you know what you know. You have a direct line. And when you get the information, if you don't judge it, then fly with it. I did look at the solar return. The solar return is telling me something a little bit differently. It's telling me that over the next year, you need to be working on reorganizing how you see your work and how you want to make it public. And there are some things you need to do internally to release your own limiting beliefs on, I want to say you don't think that you're good enough. And that's not true. So I don't know who was, did you have a parent who encouraged you before you were ready or questioned you when you would say things?
It's a little bit difficult with my parents.
Yes.
From my mom, always it was shut up, shut up, shut up. Don't speak to people. They don't like things
They don't
like
like the
this.
truth being confronting.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's the third house. And what I'm seeing here, the way you read a solar return is you look at where the sun is because it's showing where the sun came back to the place you were born. And then it moves a quarter of the wheel. So it's going to move through your fourth, your fifth, and your sixth house in the next year. And those
Mhm.
houses relate to the core of your being. And we see that Pluto in Aquarius is saying, wake up, Elena. Your time is now. People are going to
I,
get it.
I
People
know.
are going to get it. And so, depending on your life situation, which I don't know at all, um, the way in which the body maps come together is showing us that when you pick up emotional reactions from the people around you, you have the ability to channel, to help them initiate into a new consciousness, and to be a role model and a leader for them. But you have to be confident within yourself. You can't shut up. When you know to speak, you need to speak. And you know it spiritually. Um, do you know Reiki?
No, no.
Um, um, I'm going to send you, um, uh, were you in the webinar yesterday?
Yes,
Okay, so you have those sheets that I gave out.
yes, yes.
Okay, the um the goal sheet that has the worlds in it, use that for limiting beliefs. Um, think back through, I'm going to stop the sharing and give you a little bit of interpretation. Hold on. Um, what I think you need to do here to really come into your power is to go back through. Um, I have a sheet that looks similar to the goal sheet, and I'll send it to you. when I send you your chart and the recording, it's called Stepping Stones. And
Mhm.
the way you could use it is to go back through your life and think about times when you knew what you knew and you repressed yourself because somebody told you to shut up or somebody told you that's not true when you knew for sure it was true.
It was all the time from
I I
parents,
know.
friends, husband, all, all the people.
So now it's time for you to go back through and rewrite those stories. Um, Somebody says to you, shut up. And you then, if you were rewriting this, would go back into what it was you felt when somebody told you to shut up, and you wouldn't shut up. You would say, no, I know this, and this person needs to hear this. So, part of what needs to happen over the next year for you is to claim your power in a way that will allow you to do your work unencumbered.
Mhm.
Do you have any children?
Yes, one son.
And is he psychic?
Yes,
Does he know
he
it?
was. He was as a small child, but now he's on the university. Uh, he will be pilot, and it's difficult to be psychic
Um,
now.
no, it would help him. Um, Talk to him about your experiences. Um, I sometimes tell the story about my grandson. He was born preemie, 6 weeks premature. So even though I was a psychologist and expert at developmental psych, I didn't know what to expect from him because the timing was off. So one day he was laying on the floor in my office and I'm looking, he was about 6 weeks old, and I'm looking at him and he's looking around the room like this. And I couldn't catch his eye. And I was starting to worry. So all of a sudden, I see him looking around and I said to him, "Oh, Noah, you're looking at the energy." And he looked directly at me and smiled. So I knew I got it right.
My
He
son
was
did the same.
waiting. So I said to him, "Oh, Noah, you're looking at the energy." And he smiled at me. So when my daughter came into the house, I said to her, "He's seeing energy. Let's not condition it out." So and in my kids, I can see auras. I've seen auras since I was born. And when I was in my training analyses with two analysts, a Freudian and a Jungian, and I'd say to them, here's my first memory. My first memory, I was maybe 2 or 3 months old. My father was holding me, and he and my mother's energy shifted, and I started crying because I didn't like the way the energy felt. And they didn't
Me
know what
too.
to do with me.
Me too. I,
So
I know about this also with my parents. I don't like energy of my parents.
I understand. So when I told them those memories, they didn't know what to do with it. And then I was sitting one day listening to a psychic talk about Akashic records. And I went, oh my God, I was psychic from the time I was born. And I was seeing auras. For some reason, after that experience, I never let on about seeing the auras. But I called them out my whole childhood, much to the distress of my parents. And my brother hated it. I was the youngest of five. So I kept quiet, but I did not stop seeing auras. It was too important to me.
Mm.
So I just registered. I can go back through my whole childhood looking at the auras and replaying my memories based on the aura.
Mhm.
So,
I don't see auras. I know the things. I don't know how I know. I
well,
know.
I know, I mean, I say I see it, but I'm looking at somebody and I know.
Yeah.
So I say I'm seeing the energy, but to anybody else, what I'm seeing is invisible.
Mhm. Ah,
So,
okay.
so go back through your life, Elena, remembering and reclaiming yourself. Because what you've done in the mental world is to labeled some of your experiences as not okay.
Yeah.
And you need to redo that so you come into your full power.
Mhm.
And and the chart says you're going to be doing that over the next year. And I would encourage you to go through your journals and pull out the gems.
Mhm.
There are times you've said things in your journal that other people need to hear.
But it's a lot of mess in the journaling because it's day by day, and it was a really difficult time for me sometimes. And it's
Other people have had difficult times for the same reason you have.
mm,
Don't dismiss the value of what you put in your journals. If you don't want to do that, then start today
yes,
and start
okay.
writing.
Mhm.
Let it be, sit in meditation and say, okay, God, give me my download. And then just write.
I need write just in this time because I have in the morning in the car, but it disappeared in the moment.
Can you speak it?
Yes, okay. I
Okay, speak it to the voice memo,
yes, yes, yes.
record it, and
Recording.
then use something like Otter AI to
Mm-hmm.
transcribe it. You can
Mm-hmm.
download Otter AI or voice memo,
Mm-hmm.
and they will both give you a transcript.
Yes, yes,
So begin to use your gifts
yes.
because you have so many gifts. And those three channels in the central column are the Satsuma. So um, stand up. Um, put your right foot about a toe length in front of your left. Okay.
Okay.
Now turn from the sacral toward the right and then turn toward the left. And as you do, shift your energy from foot to foot. And now let the energy go from the heel to the toe. You're moving through the four worlds. The right foot moves from spirit, from physical to spirit, and then you go to the heel of the left foot, which is emotional, and the toes mental. So as you do this, shifting the weight, you're doing a Tai Chi Gong move, and you're moving between the worlds. I have a meditation on SoundCloud called 5 Minutes of Peace, where you do this.
Yes, yes, I have.
Okay, so the four worlds are really important for you to move through, and do that for like 5 minutes before you get into your car when you're going to record.
Yes, okay.
So it's been a pleasure doing a reading for you. This will
Thank
be public on YouTube. I will
Yes,
send you a recording. I'll send you your charts, and I will send you the stepping stones document.
yes. Thank you very much.
Oh,
It's
you're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
for me
Hope to
also.
see much more of you.
Thank you, thank you,
Take care. Bye.
thank you. Bye.
Bye.